During a press conference held on Tuesday at the White House, Donald Trump, together with Larry Ellison from Oracle, Masayoshi Son from SoftBank, and Sam Altman from OpenAI, announced the Stargate Project, a new company set to invest $500 billion over the next 4 years to build AI infrastructure in the United States. A press release posted shortly after on OpenAI's website included a few more details. First of all, the equity funders are SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and MGX, an Emirati company specializing in AI-related investments. SoftBank and OpenAI are the lead partners, with SoftBank overseeing financial responsibilities and OpenAI handling operational aspects. Masayoshi Son, CEO of SoftBank, will serve as chairman of Stargate. We also learned that ARM, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Oracle, and OpenAI are the technology partners. The collaboration builds upon existing partnerships, including OpenAI's relationship with NVIDIA since 2016 and a newer partnership with Oracle. OpenAI will also continue to utilize Microsoft's Azure platform for training models and delivering products. The first $100 billion will be deployed immediately, with construction of data centers starting in Texas and evaluations underway for additional sites across the country. The project covers the entire data center infrastructure landscape, from power and land to construction to equipment and everything in between, including the construction of new off-grid energy facilities such as modular nuclear reactors. So what exactly does $100 billion get you in terms of real-world infrastructure? The exact number of data centers will vary based on design objectives, location, and scale. However, a useful rule of thumb for a modern hyperscale data center can be anywhere from $1 billion to $2 billion per site when factoring in land, building construction, power and cooling infrastructure, servers, and networking gear. In reality, the investment will probably be split among several large flagship hyperscale data centers and a network of smaller edge or regional facilities costing in the hundreds of millions. We should therefore expect a range of 5,100 data centers, some very large and some mid-sized or specialized. That aligns well with Larry Ellison's remarks about the first project underway in Abilene, Texas, where 10 buildings are already under construction, each 500,000 square feet, with 10 more planned. What kind of hardware should we expect to see inside a flagship Stargate data center? It's most likely that we'll see racks of the new Blackwell GPUs from NVIDIA, while the smaller facilities will probably get the older generation Hopper-class GPUs. The most popular Blackwell-based system right now is the GB200 NVL72, an exascale liquid-cooled computer designed for data centers and powered by ARM-based Grace CPU, hence the inclusion of ARM as a technology partner. A GB200-based OEM system has been rumored to cost about $3 million. Therefore, assuming 40% of a $2 billion data center goes to AI hardware, we should get about 20,000 GPUs per data center. The NVL72 rack packs 72 B200 GPUs operating at a thermal design point TDP of 132 kilowatts. So if these data centers will be grouped together at sites similar to the one in Texas, they will require several gigawatts of energy, some of which they'll be able to get from the grid, likely from gas-powered plants or more carbon-friendly sources such as wind or solar. However, Trump hinted at relaxing regulations so Stargate can also get off-grid energy using newly built small modular nuclear reactors or refurbishing reactors that have been shut down or abandoned. The latter might be a straightforward choice in the short term, because the new small modular reactors take time to build and can only generate about 300 megawatts of power, which is insufficient for a large-scale site but may be enough for the smaller edge data centers. Given the power constraints and current limitations in the semiconductor manufacturing industry, we should see up to 1 million GPUs in total across 50 large data centers, which aligns well with what Dario Amodei from Anthropic said at the World Economic Forum gathering in Davos this week.
On the topic you mentioned, China, and the risk of countries that maybe don't share the U.S.'s same values,
yes,
advancing in AI. Have you seen the latest DeepSeek model that has kind of taken the AI world by storm, a very competitive model coming out of a Chinese company? And what do you make of it? What does that say about the state of Chinese AI?
So it's been reported at least that DeepSeek has something like 50,000 H100s. You can never be sure what's true or not.
Now these are NVIDIA chips.
H100s are NVIDIA chips, and that's that's half the size, just for reference, of like Elon's reported Colossus cluster, but it's much less than the amount of chips that we or some of the other players are planning to build in the next year, which I think will go into the high hundreds of thousands in 2006, probably in 2026, probably into the millions, and in 2027, from different players, as we saw yesterday, potentially into the tens of millions of chips. We're actually at this moment with these new type of like scaled RL or reasoning models where there's kind of a switchover point where, because we're switching paradigms, it's possible to make strong models with in this new paradigm without a huge amount of compute. At the same time as China has been able to smuggle, again, mid-tens of thousands of chips. So I think what the export controls are going to be about is making sure that China can't get from those mid-tens of thousands of chips to hundreds of thousands and millions of chips. If they do that, we may be at parity, or they may even be ahead.
In practice, some data centers will have fewer or more GPUs depending on workload specialization and whether they are built for AI training, inference, or general cloud services. It could also be that NVIDIA is not the only hardware game in town, and that some sites will go for Cerebras or AMD-based systems. Additionally, the $100 billion outlay must cover land, buildings, power infrastructure, cooling, and other equipment, so GPU spending could be lower or higher depending on strategic choices. Cooling in particular is expected to be a challenge because power usage is among the most expensive line items on a data center's balance sheet, and cooling cost represents about 40% of that total, on average. And whereas H100 GPUs could be air-cooled, Blackwell requires water cooling to handle the increased thermal load, which in turn means increased CapEx costs due to the added complexity of plumbing and liquid cooling components. These water cooling systems also consume a lot of water, which can stress overtaxed water supplies. Nonetheless, a range of 500,000 to over 1 million GPUs in aggregate is a reasonable estimate for this level of investment. And with an additional $400 billion anticipated to follow, we could see up to 5 million GPUs deployed by the Stargate Project by 2030, as the economies of scale kick in for NVIDIA and their OEMs. That's, of course, just the result of an investment from one company. Established hyperscalers, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, will want to have competitive offerings. Speaking in Davos this week, Satya Nadella from Microsoft said his company is also spending $80 billion this year on data center infrastructure, and we should expect similar investments from Amazon and Google. The primary winners from Stargate will be NVIDIA and its data center OEMs, Dell, HPE, Supermicro, followed by power and utility companies. Construction and real estate sectors and enterprise IT service providers will also see a boost, which explains why Trump was keen to highlight that 100,000 jobs will be created immediately. But here's some additional math, courtesy of Chinese AI lab DeepSeek. Last Christmas, the company released their DeepSeek v3 model, which outperformed the equivalent models from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. The DeepSeek v3 technical report claimed that the model required a budget of $5.57 million in GPU-related costs, which is at least one order of magnitude less than what GPT-4 or Claude 3.5 were trained with. So the question is, do we really need 1 million GPU, 1 gigawatt data centers for the next generation models, or should we instead try to do more with less? And now here are the week's news. TechCrunch recently surveyed 20 VCs who invest in startups looking to sell to enterprises about their predictions for 2025. VCs interested in going after companies that target specific enterprise use cases will have to make sure these startup solutions are in fact companies, as opposed to just features. Otherwise, we could see a repeat of the SaaS boom in 2021, when a lot of companies that were really just one-note features raised oodles of venture capital before being left behind in favor of companies that offered platform solutions when enterprise budgets contracted in 2023. For SaaS, enterprises would still pay for companies offering specific cybersecurity solutions. For AI, what point solutions enterprises will be willing to pay for isn't clear yet. Karim Beguir, founder of London HQ'd AI company InstaDeep, tells Sifted what he thinks is missing in Europe to give AI companies a chance to compete. It's literally almost only a question of scale, says Beguir. The winners will be those who will be able to access 1M or even 10M GPUs in the next 5 years. the US is home to the world's largest AI supercomputer, Colossus, which was built by Elon Musk's AI startup xAI. Colossus has 100K GPUs and is currently doubling in size with the objective of reaching 200K GPUs. In comparison, French cloud provider Scaleway, which was founded by French billionaire Xavier Niel, a strong advocate for the need to build homegrown AI infrastructure, recently announced that it is operating 5K GPUs. Huawei is seeking to grab a larger share of the Chinese market for artificial intelligence chips that is dominated by NVIDIA, by encouraging local companies to adopt its rival processors for inference tasks. Leading AI companies in China rely on GPUs made by NVIDIA to train large language models with the $3. 4TN US chipmakers products seen as vital to developing the technology. Instead of challenging NVIDIA in training, Huawei is positioning its latest Ascend AI processors as the hardware of choice for Chinese groups running inference, the computation undertaken by LLMs to generate a response to a prompt. The Chinese tech giant is betting that inference will be a bigger future source of demand if the pace of model training slows and AI applications such as chatbots become more widespread. The US has long relied on immigrant talent to drive innovation, especially in cutting-edge fields like artificial intelligence. More than half of PhD holders working as computer and mathematical scientists and engineers are foreign-born, according to a study in 2021 by the National Science Foundation. Immigrants also have an outsized role in creating tech startups, the most successful of which play a major role in the nation's economy. But outdated visa policies, massive backlogs of visa applications, and political uncertainty have heightened fears among the very workers fueling the U.S. AI boom. Despite their contributions, many AI specialists, even top talent at Google, NVIDIA, Meta, OpenAI, and Walmart, find themselves trapped in a Byzantine immigration system full of red tape, country-based quotas, and bureaucrats who struggle to grasp the fast-changing AI landscape. The video game industry has been in a troubled place for the past year, with studio closures and job security at the forefront of developer concerns. Increasing layoffs with seemingly no end paint a bleak picture for devs, while companies are busy pumping money into AI initiatives. According to a new report from the organizers of the Game Developers Conference, 52% of devs surveyed said they worked at companies that were using generative AI on their games. Of the 3,000 people surveyed, roughly half said they were concerned about the technology's impact on the industry, and an increasing number reported they felt negatively about AI overall. The State of the Game Industry report, released Tuesday, is one of a series of surveys conducted each year by GDC organizers prior to their annual conference, which will take place in San Francisco in March. According to the information, hitting the $100 million ARR milestone in 3 years or less is happening more frequently these days, based on interviews with over 20 investors. "I've seen metrics that would have been unfathomable just a few years ago," said Lori Moore, a partner at Bessemer Venture Partners. "It's not commonplace, but it's feeling more regular." Some investors are skeptical that all of these young startups can maintain this eye-watering growth, however. They're worried that startups selling applications built on top of foundation models like OpenAI's GPT or Anthropic's Claude won't be able to differentiate themselves enough from similar competitors. Speaking to Sifted, tech leaders are calling on the EU to match the US government's $500 billion AI infrastructure plan, saying the bloc needs to up investment if it wants to remain competitive in the field. This should be a wake-up call for Europe, Verena Pauster, chairperson of the German Startup Association, said in a statement. The Stargate Project is an unequivocal claim by the USA to leadership in the field of AI. Pauster underscored the need for a capital markets union and the need to mobilize more money from institutional investors for venture capital. Antoine Moirud, partner at VC firm Lightspeed Venture Partners, which counts French AI startup Mistral among its investments, tells Sifted the French government alone could unlock around $10 billion of investment by decoupling pension rises from inflation. According to TechCrunch, Meta's chief AI scientist, Yann LeCun, says that a new paradigm of AI architectures will emerge in the next 3 to 5 years, going far beyond the capabilities of existing AI systems. LeCun also predicted that the coming years could be the decade of robotics, where advances in AI and robotics combine to unlock a new class of intelligent applications. During a session dubbed Debating Technology at Davos on Thursday, LeCun said that the flavor of AI that we have at the moment, that is generative AI and large language models, LLMs, isn't really up to all that much. It's useful, sure, but falls short on many fronts. Fortune analyzes why Stargate is arguably the tech industry's biggest gamble ever. After all, in addition to the eye-popping price tag and the astronomical energy needs, the massive investment has zero guarantee of return. Given that today's AI is a generalized technology in its infancy, no one knows how to make money from it at such an enormous scale. And further, while OpenAI may believe that Stargate is critical to developing artificial general intelligence that will benefit all of humanity, the truth is there is not even an agreed-upon definition of AGI. And even if there was consensus, Ethan Mollick, a professor of management at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School, pointed out on X that there is still no articulated vision of what a world with AGI looks like for most people. For those who believe AGI is coming soon, he wrote, what does daily life look like 5-10 years later? Bloomberg looks at Abilene, the small Texas city nearly 200 miles west of Dallas, where the first data center associated with the $100 billion Stargate venture from OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle is taking shape. About 875 acres in Abilene, or roughly the size of New York's Central Park, have been set aside to construct data centers, according to city documents seen by Bloomberg News. Oracle facilities that Chairman Larry Ellison has said are for Stargate are being developed on this land, according to people familiar with the matter. When it's done, these data centers will help power cutting-edge artificial intelligence systems from OpenAI. The MIT Technology Review looks at a string of startups that are racing to build models that can produce better and better software. Such companies promise to take generative coding assistance to the next level. Instead of providing developers with a kind of supercharged autocomplete, like most existing tools, this next generation can prototype, test, and debug code for you. The upshot is that developers could essentially turn into managers, who may spend more time reviewing and correcting code written by a model than writing it from scratch themselves. But there's more. Many of the people building generative coding assistants think that they could be a fast track to artificial general intelligence, the hypothetical superhuman technology that a number of top firms claim to have in their sights. Thanks for watching. This is an AI-generated video readout of this week's Computer Speak newsletter. To keep up to date with the latest news in AI and other emerging technologies, subscribe to Computer Speak on Substack,